What's going through your head, speaking of alphas, with Steph in Game 7?
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. Like I look back on it too, and I don't want to like put myself in his head, like what he was thinking going to that game, but like he took 38 shots in that game. And it was basically like, if we're going to lose this, I need to have an all-time bad shooting night. Like if Steph Curry takes 38 shots at the percentage that he usually shoots at, like he's going to get anywhere from 40 to 60 to 70 points, like depending on how well he shoots. And for him to take 38 shots and end up with 20 to 30, like he'd have to shoot crazy low or for him a really bad percentage. So his mentality in that game was also just like, man, I'm not going to let my team lose. And he saw first couple going early. What we were trying to do is obviously just make everything tough and be super physical to start the game, just so we could try to keep him out of his rhythm or his flow. Just because when he sees a couple go down, it just snowballs and you can't stop him, and he gets to everything, and he can score at any level. That it just felt like in that game he was going to try to will his team to victory, and it didn't matter how many shots it took to get there.
I said after that game that Steph, more so than any player that I played against, Kobe would be the only other guy, has the ability to break your spirit. When he goes on a run, it is demoralizing. Was that accurate? Was that an accurate description of Game 7? Did you feel that? Did your team feel that?
I would say not in that specific game, even though I agree with what you're saying. In the fourth quarter, I think what broke our spirit, like as they continued to make shots and tough shots, we weren't making the ones that we were used to making. We were turning the ball over. And so it was like that. We wanted it so bad, especially in that fourth quarter, trying to make a run, like not shooting well. And all right, at some point, we're going to see one go down, get a turnover, and get ourselves on a mini run. It just never happened. And then Steph on the flip side was giving us 50. And so I wouldn't say our spirit broke until we knew. I think when Mike took us out, and it was like all right, at the end of the game, they just put in our subs, and that was it. But that was a focus of ours going into the series, was the runs that they're capable of going on, how those guys can just rattle off and add Clay to that bunch. Like when Steph gets going, it feels like Clay always has a three mixed in there too, and Jordan Poole has the ability to do it at times. But for us, it was not letting him get to that point. And so I talked about earlier how we always used to practice taking the ball to the net and going off of makes. Like that was a big emphasis for us going to the series, especially playing on the road, was if they make a three, like we need to beat them. We need to score a layup at the other end every time they make a three, because they're going to make one. They're going to celebrate. They're going to point to the crowd. And if we can lay the ball in, that, like that'll break their spirit. And Golden State's they're known to do that, especially Steph. When they go on those runs, they're impossible to stop.
Kevin, I'm assuming you saw Giannis's comments after they lost the Miami Heat about failure, correct?
I did.
Your perspective on that, given that I believe that failure, success, whatever the perception is directly tied to expectations. When you look back upon this season and you had arguably your best year, if not one of your best years in the NBA, Fox has all NBA, Sabonis has all NBA, Keegan's all rookie, Mike Brown, Coach of the Year. I'm probably forgetting an award that one of you guys won, but you didn't make it out of the first round. Yet you had a great season. You battled the defending champs. It took an all-time performance from Steph. How do you summarize the season? How do you view the season now that you've had a little bit of time?
Yeah, I think the situations are different, and I respect Giannis just because I haven't been in his shoes. That guy's got a ring behind him. I think it's different a situation for them as a team that's won a championship. That core has been together for years, and being the number one seed and what I thought was the best team in the NBA all year, losing like that in the first round, I think is a different situation to us. Obviously, our first year together as a team, everything's so brand new. As a team and an organization, like everything being in the playoffs just felt brand new. So there was a lot of new things for us. And I think everybody on the outside, especially our fans, were just happy with us being in the playoffs. So the expectation was getting there and everything else was going to be gravy. But, interior on the team side, the players side, like obviously we had higher goals. Like we thought we were the better team in that series. We thought, we had the makings to put together a run and win a couple rounds and try to do something special this year, and we didn't. But I think for us, it's easier to flip the script or flip the page and look forward to next year, just thinking like, all right, if we did this in year one, let's see what we can do in year two and year three and year four as our chemistry continues to build and we get older and we get better as players. That it's a different situation than Milwaukee. But I don't want to relate to Giannis. I'm sure he has a different perspective on a lot of things in the NBA. But I think sometimes they definitely had more expectations and than we would have as given the situations.
No, I think that's perfectly said. And to be clear, I view your season, not being a part of it as a fan of basketball, I view your season as a success. And just like I view the Knicks season as a success, but again, the situation changes, right? If you had said, hey, Knicks, they're 10-13 back in December, and all of a sudden they're the 5th seed. They're one of the best teams in the NBA over the last 3.5, 4 months. They get out of the first round. Oh, that's a success, right? That was not expected. But then you're playing the 8th seed and you lose in 6 games. Your offense sort of sputters. Like now you're disappointed. It's just the range of emotions in sports, day to day, week to week, season to season. I think that's what makes it so beautiful. But to your point, which you articulated so well, it is all directly tied to expectation and the circumstance of a loss.
Right. And even like you look at it, Giannis is arguably the best player in the league on the best team. And losing to the 8th seed, it's not like it's in the NCAA tournament where, all right, we had one game, this team played really well and beat us. Like you get beat one time on one night, that happens to everybody. But it's also kind of different now in the NBA. It's a series, and a lot of times a better team wins over the course of 7 games. And so that was, I think, the most surprising, and why I think there's definitely some pushback on what he said. But again, his perspective is different for most guys in the NBA.